How do I tell my mom that her best friend is going after my dad? Players are, me, 24, F, mom, 52, F, dad, 53, M, ho, 39, F, my brothers, 29, 28, 26, 25. My mom has been friends with Ho for around 8/9 years. My mom is a senior professor at a uni and Ho met my mom when Ho was a PhD student and training to be a lecturer. My mom is the sweetest thing in the world and her students and colleagues adore her. They throw big B-day parties for her and does surprise lunches every time she releases a new paper, etc. Mom's office is filled with pictures of us, my family and I. People often note that she has only one daughter and the rest are boys. I assumed my dad would be thrilled to have a lot of boys, but dad wanted girls, so naturally, he dotes on me a lot. Dad wanted to try for another girl, but after me, mom couldn't have any more. Dad was fine with it, he loves my brothers too BTW. I guess mom told this to her at some point. Important. Another important but gross fact is that my dad is considered hot for his age, or so I've been told by my friends and teachers. We are pretty well off because my dad is also a professor, but he holds like a higher title and is CEO of an agency for unis. He explained what he does so many times to me, but I could never. The point is, most of the people in my mom's uni know of him. He makes a lot of money, and though he doesn't flaunt his wealth, he does takes us all for expensive holidays overseas once or twice a year. Mom posts pictures of trips on her FB. Anyways, pre-COVID, mom liked to host small dinner or tea parties with her friends at our house, and I often get to meet her friends. I'm fairly close with most of them, but not at all with Ho. She would always try to sit next to me or have me escort her to the powder room. Basically, I get the feeling like she only agrees to come to these parties to smother me, get me to show her around the house and to ask a lot of questions about my dad, which isn't a red flag at that point because a lot of people ask me ABT my dad. I've become used to it. Ho has a sister who she talks to a lot, and that sister works with my cousin. But they don't know that we are related. My cousin told me Ho's sister has been telling her that Ho is in love with my father and hopes to catch his eye. So she came up with all sorts of methods to meet him, like come to a conference that he is chairing just to meet him, and after COVID, she started to get on and be active in my dad's webinars. She even sent him food twice during quarantine, just for him. I co-blocked TF out of that and gave the food to my helper instead. My dad and mom have no knowledge of this. My cousin texted me yesterday saying Ho posted on Instagram, cousin follows her to spy on her, that she was shopping for wedding attires. We were confused about this and thought maybe she was harmless and was getting married to someone. The next Insta story was a picture of a pink baby shirt and captioned it, "He wants more baby girls. I can surely give him more. My baby daddy may be old, but damn he's hot," and loaded word for word. I was livid and thought if my dad could possibly be in on this. Doubt this. Dad adores mom. I went to check his phone. Might be an here, but I do this all the time and dad is fine with it. For texts, check all the pictures and the recently deleted files, personal emails and Instagram. He's not tech savvy, so that's ABT it. She has texted him a couple of times about how he was so impressive at those conferences, but my dad replied with succinct and short answers. Her replies had a lot of hearts and emojis, but dad never reciprocated with the same enthusiasm. He is strictly professional when it comes to work, but in our family group chat he is your typical dad giving horrible dad jokes. So I sense that all of this is one-sided. Again, all of this is based on suspicion and I don't have much evidence, so how do I warn my mum and dad? Too long didn't read. Mom's best friend is obsessed with my dad and wants to have his daughter over my dead body. Edit, everyone is asking for an update and I will in a week, but not now. Ho kind of sounds mentally unstable. I'd suggest the whole family distance themselves if possible. That's what I thought too. If she's shopping for wedding attires for a guy who doesn't even give her the time of the day, she must be crazy. And she kinda have access to their home. I'd be totally scared. He might have a wall full of Opstad pictures. Omg. Tell your mom and dad together. That is something both of them should know, and they should know BC that Lil Ho is mental and could be scary and dangerous in the long run. Also, you should screenshot everything she writes/posts regarding your dad for legal reasons if something happens down the line. Be rude, be safe, and update us please. I'd show your mom and dad the Instagram stuff as oh my god this is so funny. Dad, you have a stalker. Is Ho a staff or faculty? If yes, is there like a ethics board or HR that you can send your concerns to? She is both mental and malicious in her objective. Would say save A and screenshot the texts and Instagram, especially any post that suggests she plans to mess with a married person, and send that over to her higher ups. And yes, do talk with your parents. First of all, Ho for a name was quite funny. Before warning anyone, you should get clarity on the situation. Ask your father to be open with you about it and see where the conversation goes. I wouldn't trust Ho to be open, honest, or kind to you. How do I 16F tell my dad 52M that I can't stand my aunt 50F without upsetting him? Context: I'm a 16-year-old bisexual girl. The aunt I'm talking about is my dad's younger sister. She has constantly pushed me to do things I don't want to do, like interact with her old man friends that have been really creepy to me in the past. Last straw was this summer. I flew out to see her during a pandemic because she and my dad wanted me to. I was not keen on it. I have two younger cousins who also live in the same village, ages 11 and 13, not her kids, and we went out for a walk, me, her, and my youngest cousin, let's call him Jay. One of my front teeth is a bit grey because it had to get filled in, also I have braces, so my teeth are my biggest insecurity. She interrupts me as I'm talking and says, "Oh my god, is that tooth dead? It looks so grey." Oh, I got upset but laughed it off, jokingly saying, "Thanks, asshole." Jay heard her say this and said, "Wow, it looks really black." So again I got upset but still kept up the impression that I found it funny and said, "Thanks, asshole." Jay then got a bit upset, and I felt bad for calling him an asshole, so I tried to explain in a relatively light tone that pointing out something like that isn't a nice thing to do. My aunt tells me to leave it before I could finish, so I stopped trying to explain. Jay just sort of shrugs his shoulders and walked ahead. My aunt then proceeded to call me a mean bitch and say that Jay is only young. When I tried to defend myself, she told me that when I was 11 I was too busy trying to convince everyone I was a lesbian. I told her that I'm bisexual and that hasn't changed. She continued about what a bitch I was being. I said, "You're an adult, why are you calling a 16-year-old girl a bitch?" She continued on her rant about how I've really upset him. I hadn't. I talked to him about it 30 minutes later and he was fine. He understood what both of us did wasn't great. I said, "Are you done, or do you want to call me a bitch again?" She said she was done and we walked back to the house in silence. I've tried so many times to tell my dad that me and her clash so much it ruins my time with my family. He knows that she has little things that annoy people, like showing up late and having a messy car she insists we use. He thinks I'm talking about that kind of stuff, not about her bigoted views of people with tattoos, her belief that LGBTQ teens are just confused, and her inability to speak calmly to a child. How do I tell him without making it sound like I just don't like her? Too long didn't read. My aunt and I clash so much it ruins my family time. How do I convince my dad it's not just me being overdramatic? Either show him this post or talk to him and tell him what you've told us. I dislike my dad's sisters. One in particular is very fake and is always looking for gossip. She alienated my dad's father's sides of the family because of land and money and is just a raging bitch. My sister doesn't entertain them at all. My sister hasn't gone to any of the family functions with my dad's side on about 10 years. She got married in January 2019 on my dad asked her to invite them. My sister told him that she will, but that she isn't entertaining them anymore. Wedding came, I got cornered and asked why I was unemployed. After dinner when they got the dance floor ready, they snuck out. Didn't say goodbye to my sister or even my dad. He only saw then how atrocious they are and how they treat blood family. He was genuinely upset. It was so heartbreaking. Tell your dad straight. Read this post straight to him. Say she makes you feel uncomfortable and put your foot down as best you can. No wiggle room or reason for him to pull the hormonal teenager card as a reason. Explain how this is way beyond that. You need to communicate more clearly why exactly you don't want to visit your aunt. Most parents don't want their kids around creepy people or being called a bitch by another adult. You show him this post. If her forcing you to hang with her creepy older friends doesn't get him to act, you need a new dad. Think I will. He often sends me to visit his family because he gets very little holiday per year, so he's never really around when she does this stuff. Well, you talk to him politely like a mature adult. Obviously you're 16, but life will be changing a lot sooner. You will have to have serious conversations and decisions that you both will likely have to make in the future. So, I would suggest that do this talk one-on-one, pick a time when you both have ample free time, like weekends. Talk about this in the morning after breakfast. Be polite, concise and respectful. It is his sister. Tell him that he has all the right to develop his relationship, but you need to find your own space. Sit across from him, it will make things easier. Put extra sugar in the coffee or tea when you have that discussion, unless he's diabetic or has any other condition that might make this a risky undertaking. Also, make a list ahead of time about the points you want to cover. That way, you can refer to it if you get flustered. My 15M stepmom, 46F, touched me inappropriately. I don't know what to do. I don't know if this is the proper place for this, but I really need help and would appreciate advice. My dad, 48M, married this lady, 46F, after he divorced our real mum. She's been kinda cool, but she just rubs me the wrong way, like there's something wrong with her. They've been together for like 2 years, but married for 1 year, and they moved in together right before the wedding. Throughout the whole time, she's been buying me and my brother, 18M, all sorts of fancy gifts, but hasn't ever really talked to us or spent time with us. Earlier today, we were alone in the kitchen together and her hand just kinda kept brushing up against my butt. I thought it was an accident and moved away. Our conversation switched to the divorce, and she started talking about how hard the divorce must have been for me, and she walked forward and she just groped me. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but she grabbed my privates and squeezed, and I panicked and I ran for my room and locked my door. My dad and brother aren't supposed to be home until later, but even then, I don't know if I'm gonna tell them. What if they don't believe me? Should I just brush it off? I don't want to ruin things. She's a pedophile. Tell your dad and brother. Refuse to be alone with her. Even if the magnitude of what she did seems minor, what she unambiguously did was sexually assault you. Reverse the genders. A 46M gropes his 15F stepdaughter's privates. What happened to you is exactly the same, and you need to tell your father. I hope he ends his relationship with her, and I hope you can live in a safer environment. Call the cops and file a report. Tell your dad as soon as you can when he gets home. Do not brush this off. Your dad needs to know the truth. I'm sorry this happened, she's wrong and needs to be held accountable. What if he doesn't believe me? I don't want him to think I'm a liar. You have to tell your brother and father, immediately. What she did was totally wrong and not an accident. I'm really sorry that happened to you. It's a good idea to make a note on your phone and briefly write down details of the situation and how you're feeling about it. Those things can be hard to remember if you feel nervous telling them later, and it's good to be able to look back at how the situation went down. But definitely tell them.